Hi guys, welcome to this episode of the Trainer Feed. On this episode, we're going to talk about a couple of topics, including my engagement, gym closures or upcoming gym closures, special populations, unstable surface training, and loaded carries and core function. Stay tuned.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Trainer Feed. We have another great episode here where we're covering three very important topics from the fitness community. You know, these are topics that are always kind of controversial. You know, a lot of people have different opinions on it, but hopefully we shed some light on them today. Yeah, how are you guys doing?
Angel,
We're good. I'm good, man.
Yeah, today we're going to focus on loaded carries, training special populations, and unstable surface training. The good old Bozu ball training that we love to see at the gym.
Oh yeah.
Perfect. How are you guys doing? Angel, you all right? Chilling? You hungry?
Yeah, I'm starving. Jacques keeps eating. So we went over this in the last episode where I'm trying to do my get some weight on me. So I am eating more whole food, whole meals or whole food meals with whole foods, not Whole Foods to store. I'm not eating Whole Foods, but I am.
He's just sitting outside Whole Foods and all he's doing is eating everything from the.
Also, you know, Angel's got some news, right?
Yeah, we got engaged.
Congratulations.
Ooh.
Thanks.
Are
Wait,
you
who
able?
proposed? Did she propose or you proposed?
That's a
It's
good
2020.
question.
Who knows, right?
That was a good question, but I proposed.
Did you get on one knee?
Yep.
Can you, for our listeners, can you tell us about? We were expecting you want to keep it private, but would you be able to tell us how you did it, or no? We won't take offense to it, but
No. He's like, fuck. No, I want to hear it too.
no. I think everyone's got their own way of doing it, and every time I hear someone how they did it, it's always and for someone like myself who will be doing it at some point in the future, it's always good to hear how everyone else has
Not
done
me.
it. That's all.
I'm single.
You will be soon, David. Don't
Oh
worry.
yeah, shit. No, but how was it?
It was good.
Did you guys go next door to Red Lobster?
Yeah, I wish. No, we went to the Palisade area. We went to what you want to call it, the Cloisters. So we went to the Cloisters, overlooking the Palisades and stuff like that. And we had the weekend kind of like planned just to chill. So organized it. Said we're gonna go up here. Went there, then did the thing, and that was it.
Hell yeah! It was
You nervous?
was the sun setting. Was the wind nice and calm and.
So that's the thing. I think that people glorify it a little bit too much, and maybe I'm that guy to just point out the flaws in almost anything. But it was actually very windy.
The ring almost flew away.
Kind of chilly. So
Oh shit!
I was kind of waiting for that moment where like the clouds part and the sun, points in a certain direction and all that stuff. And I was like, this shit ain't happening. So I just did it.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was good. She was surprised. Family's excited.
She didn't sense it at all?
Nah, because we spoke about it months ago. And even like, years ago at this point, right? It was our 6-year anniversary on Sunday. So that's kind of what triggered the whole thing. But I knew I wanted to get it done in 2020, and I kind of wanted to, obviously before 2020 became what 2020 is.
Yeah.
But then I
think with COVID, everything is kind of like, no, I don't think anyone would expect it.
It goes both ways. I feel like some people used I don't know. Like, I feel like some people said, because COVID has a lot of negative connotations, they need something to kind of lighten it up. And they used it as that. And then I also think the other way around, like some people have COVID just like pushing them away from like hitting certain goals, whatever it may be. And they push it back, rightfully so. And, I just stuck to it, said I'm going to do it, I had everything aside. So I just did it, and that was it.
Can I relay a funny story on piggybacking off that? So
you proposed to Alfie.
No. Well, I probably a better chance of him saying yes. When I spoke to Alex on Monday. I think on Mondays when you post on Facebook, right? And I was like, oh, guess who else got engaged? I said, Angel Sandra. And then Alex has this way of whenever someone else is engaged.
Wait,
always...
before you say anything else, remember this is on air.
That's fine.
Okay.
Fine, I know what I'm saying. She always she has a moment of kind of, when are we going to engage kind of thing, right? And then we went into this little discussion of, I was very honest. I said, I really want to do this summer, but I think COVID. Anyway, long story short, I felt that COVID got in the way of what I wanted to do. She sussed out what I wanted to do for proposal, and she was like, no way. So long and short of it is, she kind of guessed what I was going to do, and I'm glad we had the conversation. She guessed what we were going to do, because she would have probably hated it. So there was that. There was a silver lining there where she guessed it. So I now have a better idea as to what I should do. And but if you guys ever seen the flash mobs,
you're gonna do that shit at the hockey game, right? At the Islanders.
so that was one. That was a joke.
God,
I was
no.
going to be, yeah. She was like, if you do that, I will say no, and I may never see you again.
She wouldn't say no. She wouldn't say no.
I'd hope not, but I'm probably not going to play at the chance. But it was, have you ever seen a flash mob when one person dances and everyone dances? And a client suggested,
David and I to start dancing around in the park.
I thought, and a client of mine suggested it, and we spoke about it, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, this is amazing. She loves dancing. All her friends will be able to be there. If you do it in a public place, they can't suspect it because it's in a public place. Then they all just start dancing. I was like, this is a fucking genius idea. And then the other day, she's like, better not be a flash mob.
Yeah, that sounds like a crazy idea, to be honest.
Yeah,
better not be a flash mob. You're like,
I was like,
no.
It was a very weird, humbling, and embarrassing scenario. If it's so long and short of it is, I will not be doing that. But
no, I think when you actually start to plan it, and when you're actually like sitting there with, the ring or whatever, you'll start to understand that the more people you have as like being a part of that plan, the harder it's actually going to be, because you have to orchestrate everything and you have to direct everything. And then you also have to actually drop down on one knee and not forget the ring and all that stuff. Right. So,
yeah,
I think it's, you could do whatever you want. Everybody, I'm sure, does whatever they want, but I think it just comes down to you and her and your relationship, right? Not about like necessarily what you think she likes or what necessarily you think you like, right? Those are two extremes, right? Like you took the theater and said flash mob, and then you took hockey and you were like, let's do it in the ring, right? Like instead of that, those two things that you like, something that's representative of your relationship together, or just whatever, like a nice time, nice place, and that's it.
I think I might just put it in a taco and be like, here you go, here's a taco to my life. I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Don't ever fucking do that.
It was just funny that, have you ever had an idea where you thought it was just so foolproof, or it was just so good, and there's just no way the person can be disappointed, and then to hear the person say, no fucking chance. It's such a humbling thing, and it's not happened to me. It's not like it's the first time it's happened to me, but whenever it does, it's yeah. So, but yeah,
you got to give Alfie the ring and make him like run to you.
She explicitly said, don't let him be there, because he's such an attention whore. He gets in the way of a lot of stuff. So, but
Alex, it's COVID. Relax. Sooner or later, John's gonna be like, "Fuck it, it's not happening." Bye.
Nah, it's but the reason why I asked you if she was surprise angel was because Alex mentioned that it's been 5 years. It's not that it won't be a surprise, but it wouldn't take her as surprise if it was just after 1 year of dating. So, which was a very fair point. So, but that's about it. It'll happen, and we talk about future plans and whatever. So it's not. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not running away. Or me and Alfie on the run.
This is the last episode with Jacques.
Jack is moving. He's going to run. We will not be knowing his whereabouts.
Gone.
Yeah. So.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, David, you're good.
Yeah, man, chilling.
Good.
Waiting for the pending closure of gyms.
It's looking likely, isn't it?
That's gonna fucking suck. There was a study done. I don't know. Maybe you guys sent it, or someone sent it to me. The study done in Boston. I think in Massachusetts by a couple of training facilities. I mean, of course, it's probably a little biased, but they were talking about I think since July till now, there has been over a million check-ins of people in gyms. I don't know what kind of gyms or where, but and they said that out of those over, however, I think it was like 1,800,000, something like that. Only 45 reported cases out of all those
COVID.
people, which means that the infection rate or whatever was super fucking. It was like 0.000 something, right?
Mm.
No, wait, I think it was there, and they were saying how, they're trying to like plead with the governor or something, said, hey, just why don't you look at the gyms and see how safe some of them are. But looking at it too, commercial gyms and warehouse gyms, I think it's so different when it comes to trying to maintain it, right? I mean, with those warehouse gyms, you have so much ventilation, so many huge windows, you can just keep open, you can just do all this stuff, you have so much space.
So there's an article that came out yesterday on CNN with
The Virginia gym?
Yeah, and she had a member who was pretty well versed in that area of science and the respiratory system, and they just monitored it in the sense that everyone would be more, not so much 6 but 10 feet apart, because if you're breathing heavier, think of that. And pretty much what you just said, with if you can have, if it's a warehouse styled gym where you have maybe 5 doors per side, assuming it's like a square rectangular size gym facility, and depending how cold it was, you would so you did read it, David?
Yeah, it was saying how the instructor apparently maybe risked it for like 50 people, right? Like 50 people were exposed to this one person that had it, and none of them came back positive.
But if it got cold and they had to close the doors aside of the gym, they all agreed to wear masks. But and ultimately that is a reason why at the Equinox Sports Club, given the opportunity, I'll walk out there on the track, because I mean, I don't like wearing the mask. I understand it's to help the prevention of the spread. I will say something that's a little aggravating is a couple of people will have the mask below their nose, and you're in a room full of 10 people that have it covered over their mouth and nose. Why are you any different? And when the numbers are spiking, what the fuck are you thinking?
Dude, there was somebody I saw not, wearing the mask right below their nose, and they were on the treadmill. And then I'm going up. I said, hey, do you mind putting the mask up over your nose? He's like, I can't hear you. He's like, I can't hear you. I'm like,
wow, that's a good one.
He's like, I hear you. So I said, okay, put it over the fucking nose. Come on. Like, we're not children here.
It's not, and no one's forcing you to go to the gym. No one's forcing you to go to the gym. If you don't like the rules of putting the mask over your face, and I've heard this story as well, where someone doesn't want to go for that reason, that is totally fine. No one's got anything against you. We're not saying it's a wrong opinion or whatever, but don't come to the gym then. That's the rule. Those are the rules, along with being hygienic. Why are you any fucking different? What to say? Hygienic? Hygienic, whatever. Everyone gets the fucking point. It's, and if you go outside, that's fine. And honestly, on the track, the sports club, there's a lot of the wind is pretty strong. Sorry, so you feel the flow is pretty good. But I don't know. I'm seeing. I won't even get into it, but I'm seeing people that kept bringing up the whole. You post about this, David, on Instagram, about the guy who goes to the MAGA rallies and he will ask him questions.
Oh, Jordan Kepler.
So
Jordan Kepler, he's amazing.
He is awesome. I love watching his interviews when he'll say, the best one was, why are you celebrating? You're like 4 years too late. And they're like, no, he won this one.
The two people had like decked out in MAGA, and then Jordan's like, so what are you guys doing here today? He's like, we are here to celebrate Donald Trump winning. And then he says, oh, we're 4 years too late. They're like, what? It's so stupid. But yeah, man, those are some, those are some people there. I don't know. But hopefully the gyms won't close.
Dear.
We need to make money.
Yeah, for real.
All right, let's go into our topics today. So,
20 minutes in.
Yeah, we're going to roll into the topic. So let's talk about first special population training. All right. Do you guys first, what is special population training, or what is a special population? You guys want to shed some light on that?
I think it could be, training people of a certain age, usually over 50, training people with certain medical issues. Maybe you have a group of people that are diabetic and you're only training them. Maybe you have a group of people that don't have a limb, like for an extreme example, and that's a special population. Things like that.
Yeah. Do you guys have any experience training with special populations?
I've just trained older people, like
Yeah.
people in their late 70s. I trained one or two people that were in their 80s. And that was just, the only challenge there is, especially with some of them, making them understand there are certain things they can't do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to really modify a lot of things. Some of them really can't squat all the way down without assistance. Some of them can't, react as quick as they once could. Some of them forget how to usually pick something up off the ground correctly. And with gravity, once you're older, your discs tend to like compress. So with age, all the axial forces into your spine, you can lose balance. That's why you see some people that are in their late 80s and 90s really, really hunched over just because they're trying to find their center of mass. So it's just, learning how to train around that and hopefully teaching them how to use their body again.
Yeah, and I think it's important when it comes to when you're starting to learn how to become a personal trainer or things that you want to focus on. I think everybody needs to know how to work with older folks. And if everybody can also take some time to focus on special populations, that could be like a really good way of getting your feet wet and grounded in the club or established in like the gym that you're in. Because we know that a lot of our clientele are predominantly over 50. And then a section of that is over 65, over 70. And that's something that you just want to focus on because also people age differently. And I think we all see that. So you can look at two 50-year-old people and they can be remarkably different in terms of their level of athleticism, level of body understanding, movement understanding, coachability. I don't even know if that's a word, but I'm just calling it what it is because some people you can coach really easy and then you'll run into a wall with other people who you can say, move your left foot and they're moving their right arm or they're, stay static or stay right where you are and they're just like moving, just shaking, moving around. So you start to see a little bit of differences between each and every person. But I think that working with special populations I think it's rewarding. I mean, I've worked with a couple of older people. You guys know that. And they can be probably the most challenging, but also the most engaging clients that you'll have, right? Like they'll give you feedback. You'll learn a lot. It'll be more about learning who they are and then like how they move kind of synergistically. Jacques is laughing. I think Jacques is just like having flashbacks thinking of all the older people that I've trained or all the special populations that he's seen me with.
To be clear, listeners, I'm not laughing at working with special population because I work with a handful that does myself. There's just a couple of particular individuals that Angels had the pleasure of working with that were some of the more colorful characters in New York City that I'm just getting flashbacks now. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry, I just got flashbacks and I can help myself. They were just too
good.
funny.
Nah, it is good because like that's the other thing.
A lot of them don't like loud noise.
Yeah, that is true. Some of them didn't like loud noise. Some of them didn't like, the way people looked or whatever. But
God,
it is what it is. I think that once you start working with somebody in a certain like age group or understanding special population, I think that becomes a way to train them, right? Because you understand what ticks them off or why they are the way that they are. And then you say, let's remove all of this so we can focus on training, or let's take you in a different environment so we can focus on training. And you learn a lot. It takes some time and it takes a little bit of studying, but I think that it's well worth it. So anybody who's trying to grow their self professionally, I think that can always be beneficial to work with a special population group.
I think also it also, depending on, business wise, a lot of them are the more consistent people.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot
with
of them
better
already
schedules too.
Yeah, a lot of them are already established. A lot of them are probably retired. Some of them have money to play with, and they want to train. So it's good to, from a business standpoint, to set yourself into that area of expertise.
I also did want to piggyback off that and say that when it came to some of the clients I worked with, and sometimes, like you said, Angel, remembering which limb to use can be part of the challenges. That being said, that it enhances your qualities and cueing capabilities as a coach. And especially if we've been training virtually as we have during the pandemic, that has been a really hard skill, but one I feel a lot more comfortable in doing now. If I say suggest using the left arm and the right leg for a movement, and then just breaking it down so that it's layman's terms for anyone who hears that. And some people will respond better to certain cues and being able to understand that. But I agree with what you both said in terms of the business, as you mentioned, David, where they sometimes when you're building your business, finding the clients that train between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. are some of the harder clients to find for a number of reasons. One being there might not be as many, or another one I felt was whenever I got the response to not training, the rejection being I don't have the time or have the money. I felt with some of the population, it wasn't that they didn't have the money when they use that excuse, is they didn't think that I was worth the money. So when you see everyone who lives on the Upper West Side, you have an idea as to where they live. You have an idea as to how much it costs to live there, so on and so forth. LinkedIn will show you the client is a senior vice president or something. So money is not an issue, right? But it's just they didn't think I was worth the investment. No, I'm being honest. I will frequently look at when I get a lead, I look at who it is.
Sucks that creep.
No, it helps me get a better understanding of who the client is. It helps me understand how they tick. My older client is an actress. I played dumb when I met her. I was like, oh, what do you do for a living? It also helped establish the fact that I just wanted to know the client for who they were, not for who they were outside of the gym.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I like to build that genuine rapport. That being said, once I got to understand how genuine or transparent you are with training with someone, that's how I'm a non-aggressive style of trainer to build my business. I'm not the sort of style where you gotta train me 5 times a week. If you ask me, I'll tell you what it is. What's up?
Yeah, get it.
If you want to train me once a month, I'll be honest and say, well, what are you trying to do? You just want to come in to work out? There's nothing right or wrong with what you want to do. Whatever you want to do is fine. That's cool. Everyone's got their own goals. There's no right or wrong. That, and then as you mentioned, Angel, in terms of what it teaches you, it's so easy to train someone in their 20s who has no injuries, who has no mobility issues. You can program them pretty much anything. Now, fast forward to a client that has limitations or has injuries or exercises you can't do. I have quite a new client recently where we can't do any lower body movements. He can't be on his feet. How do you design that?
Wait, why can't he be on his feet? Is he in a wheelchair?
So he's had some nerve issues, and it roots all the way up through his lumbar spine, and his foot will go numb. Standing. So extended periods of standing. So when I inherited this client, I was thinking, not being cocky, but I was thinking, oh, there's got to be some ways. Even doing an inverted row on the TRX is too much pressure on his feet. So to me, I'm thinking of trying to be creative on other ways of doing vertical pulling. Okay, he's 70, just turned 72. He's looking great for 72. So unassisted pull-ups, or perhaps later on we do assisted ones. But if I try and be creative, I'll try and modify the program. Again, you want them to feel they're getting a bit more of a different feel every day they come in. But that was too much pressure for his foot, and it's just you think. And here's the thing: sometimes it's mental, because if we do a leg press, he feels fine. But if I have him do a goblet squat, it's too much. But you're doing the same pattern. You're just doing, do you know what I mean? So, but that's where it's gaining the experience of how to train people in a special population. Because it's not easy. And then you'd be wrong to say every single male over 60 responds or needs this kind of training. And the same with, say, a female. It's so particular per client. So I just wanted to piggyback off both your points.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things that I could touch up on there, but I'll just kind of summarize it in another sense that it's very important to do the assessment because even when you're working with special populations or general population or whatever, like I think that the assessment is crucial um, because sometimes you might not know what that limitation actually is until you actually sit there in front of the person and you go through certain movement patterns or you just walk around the gym with them, right?
Mm.
Or wherever you're at, outdoors, whatever. And then you'll start to realize it goes a lot deeper than what you thought it was on paper, right? So, for example, Jacques, client, you start to see, okay, this standing in this position is not something that we could do long term. So now instead of that, I have to find something else, right? And then that takes you away. That changes the workout session and it changes like where you're going to be at, right? You might not have been on the right floor or the right side of the gym because now you got to go over to the machines as opposed to like the free weight area. So that can take away from the member experience and the client experience. And it does become important to understand that stuff beforehand because not only for like if you're making a sale, like if you want to sell personal training, that's one thing, but also just getting to know how that person moves, how that person's going to react. It's also an emotional experience. And I find more with special populations, sometimes it's difficult for them to reach out to trainers because sometimes they already have a preconceived notion as to what a trainer is going to be. And when they start to feel uncomfortable, that gets them back to the feeling of, oh God, why did I sign up or why did I try this free session out? Which I think a lot of people that I come in contact with are surprised by because when I talk to them and when I do the fitness assessment and I'm like, no, we're going to check this out, we're going to do this, they're kind of like taken aback because they just thought I was just going to put them through the ringer on day one. And it's like, why would I do that? Right? It just doesn't make sense. Unless I was just,
CrossFit.
I guess, I mean, I'm not saying.
I had a client was that it was the same way. It's like first session, they're like, "Oh, I thought you were gonna have me puke." I said, "Why would I want to make you throw up?" She's like, "Well, I went to a class once and they pushed us really hard. I had to throw up. I just thought that that's how, you're supposed to work out hard." I said, "No. Typically, if you want to throw up, that means something's off. You don't want to. I'm not gonna make you fucking throw up. Like it's gonna make you. It's kind of like."
You always ask, you say, who's going to clean that up?
Yeah, I was gonna
Not
clean it
you,
up. Not
right?
Yeah, right. And you don't want to use the throw up as a positive reinforcement after a workout.
Or measure of how hard you've worked. Right?
Because the amount of sweat you have, you throwing up, how sore you are, typically isn't like the best indicator of whether or not you had a good workout.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's like I want you to feel good the next day so you can come back.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Anyway.
Let's change focus towards our next topic, which is balance training or stability training. So what do you guys have some experience there? I know I have with a couple of clients, but
I have plenty of experience, visually. Okay.
Elaborate.
My view on it, and you guys know my view on it, but I personally think if you want to train somebody, and when it comes, there are two ways to do it or to look at it. A lot of studies or a lot of trainers and a lot of people that try to study the whole instability training, from what I've read and what I've seen, they're trying to take it from a setting of PT and trying to enforce it, I think, in the setting of general population that we train a lot. Does that make sense? It's like, why am I going to have you do things on a Bosu ball or an Eric's pad if you're a healthy individual? Whereas, a lot of the studies that have been shown to improve knee stuff or ankle stuff was shown in a study of individuals that were injured. Does that make sense? And also it's like, if I want to get you stronger and I want you to get you going, you're not going to be on a cushy pad all the time when you're doing stuff, especially if you want to get, squat more, or if you want to be more athletic, whatever that means, right? If you have a sport that you want to do, like if you have a sport that requires, for example, let's say ice skating, I'm not going to have you be on an Eric's pad and a Bosu ball while we're training so I can get you stronger. Like if you want to train that stability, you go and ice skate. It's like what Mike Boyle would say with kids. It's like if you're going to train a kid to be good at a sport, have them do the sport. Like, go play the sport, and then we'll come back here and we'll work on your, strength, let's say, right? I don't think, I don't think I don't think it has a big carryover. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask, so maybe we can just also like just talk about what we're talking about. So unstable surface training, meaning like changing that base of support. So instead of, or having the base of support be unstable, I guess that's what we're really trying to say, as opposed to changing your base of support, which is like if I stand on one leg, I change my base of support. But we're not talking about that, but we're talking about the actual surface being.
So training on an RX pad, training on one of those balance boards, training on the BOSU ball, squatting on a physio ball with a bar on your back that I've seen in the past. I think that's what we mean by unstable surface training.
Yeah.
So I agree with, if you're wanting to improve how you perform in a sport, I feel the strongest way to improve is to practice it. I strongly believe. And there's always that, I remember at a forum a number of years I brought that up. Oh, if Serena Williams can snatch more weight, does it improve her serve? And it created a lot of stir, right? Where, oh, it's not transferable, or this and that. And Saquon Barkley can clean 405 pounds. Does it mean he's a better running back? I think you have arguments for both sides always. Mm-hmm. Where I'm trying to think of, I don't know if you guys watched anything of the Seahawks and the Cardinals last night. So
past my bedtime.
It starts at 8, but yeah.
Bedtime.
Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson are both quarterbacks under 6 feet, which is very, very rare in this day and age. But those guys, I wouldn't necessarily say are some of the strongest, but are just absolute freaks of nature. They're just animals. Now, would you compare some of the players who clean or squat a certain weight to be better? They're stronger, but another example is, I don't know if you guys remember Odell Beckham's cousin, who I believe used to reside in Queens, was like crazy strong. He would press and squat loads of weight. He never got picked up by a team. He got scouted. We went to a combine or some kind of training day. Never got scouted. We'll look at his cousin, who is a lot leaner, a lot skinnier, but as rapid, fast, has got nasty hands. I don't know how strong he is in comparison to him. So I think that, one, whether it's being transferable, then two, does it make you any better at your sport, is always the questions. And I feel unstable. The one thing I would like to say about that is, whether it's unstable, when you change your base of support, I believe I may have mentioned in a previous episode, where when sometimes the first assuming progression with some people is increase the weight. Well, no, let's just alter your base of support. And that might only slightly be on the verge of unstable training. But I think sometimes it's a great way, given how appropriate it is with the client, can be a great way to explore with. But I'm not saying, hey, you did 4x10 back squats. Next week you're doing the same way on a BOSU ball. I don't think that's the first progression for that pattern. And look, it's interesting. Go on.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just be careful, because the unstable surface training and then the change of base of support are two different things.
Yeah,
right? Going back to it, it's like
the surface
unilateral.
is still solid.
Right, exactly.
You're just lifting a leg up.
Yeah. So you can make the argument, for example, that, well, no, not really, because you would just play the sport. I was going to say, like, you could say that working, for example, for football, you would work outdoors in like a turf, but that doesn't make sense, because you're not going to goblet squat somebody on the football field, right? Like, you're going to run on the football field, which is probably more unstable than a hardwood floor, right? So you can make the argument of doing sprints on the turf. That could be, transferable or something like that. But, when it comes to like BOSUs and RX pads, maybe David's right.
I don't think you're constantly trying to maintain your balance on the turf.
Right? Yeah, you're not. I mean, you're using it just to propel yourself forward, but you're not stabilizing on it, right? Maybe you could use it for, but then that goes back into training for that sport. Like, let's say wide receiver, right? Trying to get two feet in, right? That has to do with like balance, stability, base of support. You're on turf. But then that's not necessarily in the gym. That's like training to be in bounds, or training to keep yourself in bounds and make
you're playing the sport. Like,
you're
practicing it, you're doing it, rather than me making a fake sideline on the gym and saying, all right, jump and make sure your 2 feet stay inside. It's not that's not what we're doing.
And then also, in addition to that, when I spoken to neuroscientists I'm starting to work with, it's so hard to ever recreate the what's up? What are you
Look
gonna say?
at Jacques with a fucking neuroscientist.
Yeah, that's a weird flex.
Oh shit! Oh my bad.
Well, I'll tell you some of the stuff I've been doing for as well. But I like, but she was talking about visualization, for example. Yeah, no, she's worked with some like great people, great athletes as well. But she was talking the other day about visualization. All right, David.
Angel's laughing. I'm just
laughing.
smiling.
But she spoke about visualization. If you're an athlete doing a skill, if you visualize it, I'm going to butcher exactly what she said. But she said the fact that you will make a neural connection in your mind about how you would do it gave you a neurological preparation for the movement because you've already visualized yourself how you're doing it.
Right.
And where I was also going with that was, if no matter how you practice something, and like you mentioned, if you want to keep both feet in bounds or whatever the drill you were trying to replicate in a game, let's say you're catching a ball, whatever it was, you're never going to be able to recreate the exact variables in the game, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't practice it. So there can be arguments both. I know there'll be people that say things on both sides of that, but I feel that it's, and also some people also say there's some things you can't teach are just instinctual as well. So like, do you want to go down that route as well? It's all interesting stuff, to be fair.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that if we're going into like basic support, that's one thing, but probably just unstable surface training might be more widely used in the physical therapy realm, or should be widely used in the physical therapy realm.
And even then, I think it's Angel, you've worked with a physical therapist more than I have. So
yeah, I mean, they use it. They use that stuff a lot, actually. It depends on the situation.
Injury.
Right. Depends on the injury, depends on whatever. But there has been more it transfers or it translates more for people who are trying to rehab, because you have to rehab the tissue to stabilize or grow or heal under unstable conditions, to prevent the risk of injury when that happens again, because it will, because life is ever flowing and everything's always changing. But changing gears, because I think we kind of are on the same page with that one. The last topic about core and carries, what was it? Loaded carries and core training. This was David's topic. So David, what did you have in mind when you kind of like said that topic?
Just like training your core, whatever that is, also, because I think I have a definition of what the core is, and some you guys might have a different one. I personally think the core would be from your torso to your butt. When you're thinking about strength training or working on stability.
That's also posterior and anteriorly.
Yeah, like the entire midsection. Like if you look at your midsection like a big trunk of a tree. But it has to do with where I was going at with the topic is the difference between, let's say, crunches and let's say a loaded carry. Like what would be the function of either? And I think from my perspective, when it comes to strength training and, training for performance, I think the loaded carries have a better, carryover, I think, in terms of performance-based stuff.
Yeah.
Like it teaches you how to stay stable. It teaches you how to use the musculature around your torso to help you stabilize.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. I also think I would say that you do need to supplement with like crunches and stuff like that, but the meat and potatoes are going to be your carries or your planks or your anti-rotation, things like that. I think that when everybody started training their core doing crunches or bicycle kicks like as 90% of the program, and then doing planks for like 10% of the program, everybody was running into a wall with like back injuries and slip discs and all that stuff. But now everybody's trying to move the other way, because we've noticed that that is not necessarily how the core should be trained, or that's not how you get abs, right? Which is a completely different topic, but the two kind of got twisted somewhere in the marketing scheme. I guess people were just saying this is how to get six-pack abs, and everybody was doing that. And then this is how you train your core, and then everybody was doing that. Take a couple of models, couple of movie stars, they write an article in a magazine, and then boom.
But it goes, as you mentioned it, I agree that I don't want to agree with. Like the carries are are the bigger bang for your buck, where it's more transferable to you hiking, to you carrying your groceries, to you holding a baby, to carrying your kids when you go. It's more transferable to almost every daily task where you have to load. And then the beauty of
even
doing
the benefits of it too, just
100%. And we'll say that maybe one of the biggest benefits is posture benefits, right? Where if you're doing carries and one of the commonly asked questions, I direct towards clients when they do their groceries, when they carry groceries, I ask them where they feel the pain or the aches, and the majority of them will point towards the front of their shoulder joint, right? Where okay, and I did this up until I was a trainer. I always felt it there, and I'm like, oh man, I'm feeling achy. So if we suggest squeezing back your shoulder blades, making sure you depress your shoulder blades as well, you should feel a cramping, say rhomboids, your medial traps, and that's the safer way to do carries, and you don't feel that tension here. And that by communicating that to clients or people we work with, it changes the outlook on how to work your core, your trunk stability. I posted something yesterday actually, and one of the things I posted was, or the comments was, if you think crunches are the best trunk stability exercise, and I referred to saying we won't go there or something, but that is my biggest worry if someone has worked with me and we've gone through trunk stability exercises and on their own. Again, I'm not going to say that crunches are the worst thing for you and you shouldn't do them, but I will always strongly advise for core exercises or trunk stability, which we prefer to call them in the world of training, where you have a neutral spine, where you're not rounding your spine. And I don't know who helped me understand this when I first started training, but we have so many exercises or so many movements in the day where we have so much spinal flexion that is maybe unwarranted, and it's just part of daily life that takes its toll on us. So if we're in the gym in those moments or those hours in the day, if we can avoid any more flexion, if we can encourage a tall neutral spine, tall neutral alignment, those are the ways to go. And as you mentioned, what's relevant or what's transferable, I don't shoot people down. I just ask them what the reason is. And the one thing I will also add to this to close it off is the machine where you crunch. I don't have time for it. And if a client asks me which machine is best, this one or this one, I always say, do you want to know my honest truth? And say, yeah. I said, neither. Don't do either of them. And that's the truth. I'll say, and some of them have come back. Yeah. I'm sure we've all had the experience, and they've come back and found articles on, oh, you know what? I did find that in the 10 worst machines in the gym, this was number one. And I'm not trying to be a ball buster. I'm very well invested in your health, long-term and short-term. And there's just and look, let's be honest. If you eat like trash, doesn't matter how many reps you do on that thing, you're not going to see abs, period. So, yeah.
No, you're right.
Word.
That's just, if you eat like shit, why do you...
I thought we were going to go in another rant, so I was like, let me give him a second. He's about to come back. No, but I completely agree. I think that, there are better ways to get, core activation and more muscular activation in that, what do you call it? Like the axial skeleton, right?
Yeah.
And when you're looking at it from that perspective, when you look at it from like a kinesiological perspective, if that's a word, you start to understand how the body moves, why the body has that in place for it to move. What is that joint action? What is the muscle actually doing during this movement? Then you start to become more aware of why you're doing a certain exercise and what exercises to do and what exercises not to do. Loaded carries are probably by far one of the greatest exercises to do and for the core and overall health.
They can even be a good cardio exercise if you go far enough, heavy enough.
Yeah, that was gonna be whenever I want to jump in after what you're saying, Angel. Sorry.
Yeah. So what was I gonna say? Because if you think about it from this perspective, like how much time do you spend sitting down, right? You can write a number. And then you can also say, how much time do you spend sitting down while in an upright position? And you'll write another number, right? And then how much do you just like kind of chill wherever you are, or like lean in for support, like whether it's like with armrests or the table in front of you, or you're leaning back, right? And those questions start to, you start to figure out, okay, maybe it isn't so easy just to be upright all the time. And then you say, okay, now we're going to be upright all the time. And now we're going to add load to that position, right? Where we have like the joints stacked on top of each other. You should be in a well-supported position if the muscles are going to support you through that position, right? But then you start to notice that they won't. Why? Because you're not training to be in that position, and you're not living your life to be in that position. You're kind of living your life to lean forward, to lean to the side, leaning to the other side. Even when you're picking up your kids or you're holding your groceries, you're going to be asymmetrical when you do that. Why? Because you're looking for a compensation, because it's hard. It's actually difficult to keep the belly button underneath the chin, to keep the chest up, to keep the chin tucked, shoulders back, arms pushed away from the midline. Like, it's hard to do that. And once people start to realize that, then, everything starts to make more sense. But generally the people who don't want to do that stuff, don't have the best posture, and it kind of speaks for itself.
It speaks for itself. And I've experienced moments where should I feel this? What should this be working? And it's like anything with exercise. Sometimes the progression just needs to be manipulated a little bit differently, a bit more even. And we'll say, for example, you do a set of kettlebell carries, suitcase carries, right? Where you pick them up as if you're picking up groceries. You walk from one end to the other, or you do 20 steps there, 20 steps back. There's definitely the possibility, and I've had the experience of someone asks, "Why should I be feeling this? This doesn't feel okay." So before you do the next set up, you're gonna walk twice as slow as you did, or you're gonna exaggerate how slow you walked. Right? Some of those cues.
They be beaming sometimes, right?
Some
like
of them,
you give your clients,
they're trying to catch a subway or something,
and they just fly, and then they're just back like, okay, what's next? It's like, nah, man. Like, first of all, that was trash. Second of all, let's walk with purpose. Let's walk and just like slow that shit down, because you can't give me half-ass reps and then run back to me, drop the weight in front of me, and say that was easy.
Exaggerate each foot landing, and then also
be an astronaut. I made that up off the top. Damn, he went.
Oh man,
he cut it off.
No, but I was gonna touch on that with. I'm sure those who, if you're listening, you don't agree with us, it's fine. And if you prefer crunches, we're not knocking them down. I'm sure, and there are variations of crunches. But the thing I will say with carries, there are many variations of that as well, where you can do dual carries, right? Where you have
two.
What the fuck is dual?
Two. There's someone, I can't remember who it was always programmed dual.
Say that again.
Dual.
Dual.
Here we are again.
Dilemma.
It sounds like you're saying jewel.
like crown jewels.
Yeah, it did sound like jewel.
So crown jewel carries.
No.
Jewel meaning two for our American listeners that can't understand my accent. You're welcome.
Double.
Double.
Double dos. Yeah.
Dos.
So anyway, if you have that style, you can have one that's lowered by side, one is right, one's above. There's a few ways, or exactly as Dave was showing us if you'll catch us on the YouTube.
And on Instagram. We have some stuff on Instagram.
On Instagram, we're trying to drop the content on Instagram, you're right.
At the trainer feed.
Yeah, I can see my athletic self doing things.
David was dropping that squat. It was so hot.
Well,
you guys gotta watch
pretty.
that.
I was even impressed. I was like, oh, shit.
Fire. That range of motion, like, woo!
I got a comment from someone at work, and they were like, David, I saw that video of you trying to do the squats incorrectly, and it was hard for you to do it incorrectly. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, you guys are like,
wait, a member said that?
Like, what?
A member said that?
My buddy Justin. And so, I think from work, like two other trainers. Anyway.
Yeah, no, but anyway, it's funny you said that. I happened to do carries today, and the first thing you'll probably notice if it's too heavy, or at least it was too heavy for me, my grip strength sucks. And that was one of the reasons why I was doing them.
Yeah. They're great for your forearm strength, your rotator cuff, your lats, your everything. It's great.
I often think there was a point where I was doing overhead carries, and that's probably the hardest variation of carry. You've got to usually feel that the range of motion and the mobility for you is there, and you feel comfortable with it. But there's nothing quite like lifting a load over your head and being slow, and then you can have a variation to it. What are you saying? Give me that face for, Angel.
Nothing.
A load over you.
I think I heard you wrong, but that's okay.
A load over your head and going slow.
We got to get our buddy Colin on the podcast, because Colin actually has a book coming out, and he's been writing this for a while. I wanted to wait until he actually finished the book so he can kind of like
What's the book
plug
on?
that. It's about exercise and kind of like physiology and how certain exercises are. I mean, he'll tell you more about it. I don't want to like.
I pull up an article called "The 10 Worst or the 10 Useless Machines at the Gym."
That's the one my client sent me, I believe. What was number one? The crunch machine?
Number 1, Smith machine.
Oh, damn! We should have guessed that. Should guessed that.
Number
But
2, yo, these
What
are
was number 2?
hilarious.
What's number 2?
Number 2,
So
leg
curious.
extension.
Hmm.
I'm not crazy about that one.
Number 3,
I'm not crazy.
Number 3 says extremely light dumbbells.
All right. What's the website? What's the website?
It's called bestlifeonline.com.
All right, that's probably why.
Find it.
Yeah, but because everybody has their opinion. But
Hey, the ab crunch machine is number 5.
Colin was talking about
should be
how
higher up.
overhead presses are not necessarily something that we should be doing or training for, because it's not something that humans have evolved to do well, right? And it places a lot of stress on the glenohumeral joint. But I do want to get him on because I do want to talk about that, like overhead carries, like where does that fall, right? Because a carry is functional, but then it being overhead, is that functional? And you remember the debate that Antoine and Colin had way back in the day, I guess like 2016, 2017.
I remember
about
this.
how to properly. So they were talking about Neanderthals or like
Primitive movement. Yeah.
primitive movement, and how would a human being not a human being, like a whatever, but Homo sapien, but like how would a primitive version of ourselves carry weight? Would they drag it in a sled, or would they carry it on their shoulders?
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. I think it was, the debate was carry it on their shoulders or carry it on a sled.
Who would be faster? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think
That's a hard
what it
argument
was.
to make. Depending on when in history it happened, they don't know what a fucking sled is.
Right. And also we started talking about like when and where we could test it, because they started saying, oh, I'll bet like $1,000 that it would be this. And I'm like, nah, I'll bet $100. And they go back and forth in the trainer lounge. And then when COVID hit, I kind of thought, I was walking in Central Park and I was like, damn, this would be the best time to figure that out, right? Like just actually go the 7 miles of Central Park, and just one's got a sled and then one's got, the
But
weight
I
in
think
a bag.
How much weight was
sorry,
it they were
It
asking?
depends, right?
I guess the fact of the matter is it depends, right?
Because I think if you're carrying a carcass of a dead animal, I assume you're gonna put it over your shoulder like a fireman's carry. But if you're just picking up a stone, I'm sure you're gonna hold it like this.
Yeah, it depends on the shape of the object, in fairness.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, and the weight.
Yeah.
So, but that was the debate, and we were talking about like functional movement and primitive movement, and
Hey, look at Atlas. He's got something over his head. So I mean,
that is true. But and then also like when you think about sleds, like there's also friction, right? You are using you're using your body leaning forward and propelling the weight forward, but then also at the same time, every foot that you go is going to be friction on that weight, and that's going to slow you down, in theory, right?
speaking of that, I got my wagon for my weights later.
Oh, nice.
I live on a hill. I gotta go down.
You live on a hill.
And then
Oh, you gotta go downhill.
Yeah, first to go to the park, and then to come back up, I gotta.
That's scary.
You just stand it on the way down and hope it stops
Dude,
before the
it
light.
looked bigger than your wagon, but I think when I looked at it, I think it's the same size. It's pretty big.
You got mini.
Yeah, they
mini
have.
size?
They have. I like the wagons with bigger wheels. I think that my wagon. I mean, I got it just to drag weights from point A to point B. And I didn't really think too much about
the size of my head.
Yeah, but that's what you need. That's the key.
Huge.
The key is like really good wheels.
Huge.
Yeah, you need that. You need big wheels because that's going to help you
Huge. It's
get
gonna be
through
huge.
the city and go from point A to point B without fucking your
Huh.
wheels up. Because as soon as those wheels go out, you're done.
I could even take more weights too. I could take 216s and a 24 and even more. You know, it's.
How much does it go up to? What's the capacity?
I don't remember. I threw
Find
away
out
the
before
manual.
you load it up.
Yeah, because I think mine is like 68 and it's literally like 68 period, right?
68
Like
pounds?
no, 68 kilos.
Oh, that's what 120 something. Yeah, that's probably mine. I think mine said like 130.
Yeah, because if you go like mine is like to the T. Like I guess they tested it. They put some crash test dummies in the shit. I don't know. But 68 kilos, you go like a little bit over. I started walking out the door. I was like, you know what? I can do this. And by the time I got to the elevator, I hear wee, wee, wee. I'm
Not
like,
moving
oh,
well,
no,
yeah.
that's not good. Or the tires like are leaning out or leaning forward. It's just
Like this.
Yeah.
That's my experience with the shopping cart. I went to do at Clinton Park, which is 3 avenues and 2 blocks up. And I really was like, oh, it was a 28 and a 20, and I thought it'd be fine. And I haven't used it since. That was one day.
I think the one I have is. I'm looking if this is the right.
Yeah, I gotta get a better car. I gotta get like a little gorilla
Here
car.
it is. I got the heavy duty one. That's why.
Oh, that's good.
That's good.
Yeah, it says yeah, it says something along the lines of like where is it?
Probably like 70 kilos, maybe 100 kilos.
Convenient okay. Weighs okay, nope.
No,
Oh, it says heavy duty frame allows loads up to 150.
150 pounds, kilos.
Probably pounds.
Pounds, it says pounds.
Makes
So
sense.
yeah, roughly 68, 70 kilos then.
Yeah, I like how on those wagons they always say, "Don't put your kids in it." There was something I bought the other day that was like said
Listen,
something.
if you're
ridiculous.
Hispanic, you're going in those fucking things.
Oh, I bought like a little mix for like cakes,
Mhm.
because I'm making some cornbread for Thanksgiving.
Oh, hook me
but-
up. I'll pay you, bro.
I could make. Well, I gotta look at the ingredients I have. I gotta go shopping for some more if you want a batch. But I did make some and it was pretty good. But I was looking at one of these cakes or whatever that they had on the counter. It was like a pre-mixed powder, and on the instructions, it was like one of the first instructions was like, make sure you use a clean pan or use a clean and safe pan or something like that. I was like, why would you use a dirty pan? But that's like the first instruction. Like the first piece is like, make sure the pan that you use is clean. And I was like,
No shit.
all right, like, like what else are we gonna say? Start using like clean forks and knives and stuff like that. It was just weird. But anyway, weird instructions.
Funny.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, let's wrap this up because we had a good kind of like run, but now we're gonna go into a show hole where we start talking about nonsense. So before we go into the show hole, let's wrap it up. What are you guys doing this weekend?
Not much.
Damn.
Trying to get something interesting, but no, I just errands. Weekends are really my errands, my time to recharge and try and watch. I try and watch as much NFL on Sundays as possible. That's it. As crazy as this year has been, and as stubborn as the NFL is with getting their own way, it's a sense of normalcy that's helping at least me have some sense of normal life that we would have had if it wasn't for the pandemic. So how about you guys?
I'm working. That's it.
Birthdays?
I have 2 clients on Saturday, tomorrow, and then I have 3 on Sunday.
All in the club?
Yeah.
Nice.
Be careful. Wear that N95. Shit's about to get rough.
Yeah. Well, these emails coming through.
And make sure your clients are ready for virtual, man. Like this is why they're talking about virtual this, virtual that. Like make sure everybody, and I don't want to hear it, David. I'm telling you, this is how it's gonna happen. It's gonna hit. Shit's gonna close. It might be for the next 2 months. Might be for the next 3 months. We gotta look big picture, right? Because the holidays are gonna keep going around. Those numbers are gonna go up. I want everybody to eat.
Yeah.
I want everybody to be good.
It's gonna be the
I
start
want everybody
of
to be okay.
Strength by Bravo Inc.
Whatever you got to do, baby,
Let's
you
see
just
it.
got to get it done, man. I'm telling you. Everybody, let's hold it down. We're all in this together.
Sure.
Have a great weekend, and we'll regroup next time.
Bye,
Later.
guys.
Bye, guys.